and welcome to another episode of the Red Dwarf Series 11 TV review podcast with Nikki and I.
Yep. Thanks for showboating for me there.
Even right now, I'm so glad that YouTube's actually giving out the end screen stuff, so...
Alright.
So I can actually show your channel over my channel, and it's just all fantastic now. Instead of
Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah.
Anyway, Series 11, Episode 5, KRYSIS with a K, because it's cool, and it's a character.
It's a pun. Because we love puns, because we're English.
This one you have a story for.
Yes, I do. Well, famously, I'm going to say famously, but I've told you before, this is the episode I got to see back in November of last year.
You were in the recording.
Yeah, I was in the recording. I got to see this as it was being filmed and recorded. Well, basically both performed in front of us, really. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's funny seeing it now after a year. It's kind of funny to remember how much my opinion's changed since then to now. Really, which helps people get into.
I think when you're in live of something, you can appreciate it more. It's like it's gonna be a while since I see this again. When you see it again, you can have repeat viewings. Mm-hmm. It kind of loses some spectacle to it, because I remember when you took me to see Ross Noble live.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard.
I know, you were laughing. You were laughing that much. You couldn't breathe.
Especially was going on about the Australian fires that time.
Yeah, well, again, him living in Australia and trying to make that into a joke, which is how good comedians do. Take credit.
Yeah. Ask the audience. Yeah. Some of the audience goes, "Do you have any tips on a barbecue? Do you think I'm going to move for a barbecue? That's how it happened to me." But anyway, you can just keep turning the chicken over and over and get an even cook on it. Or if the woman from the heartburn, you can just put it on their face because we know where the fire is.
That's all right, you still remember it after all this time.
I still remember that. I still could not stop laughing at that one.
Right, okay. Anyway, let's get back onto KRYSIS.
Yeah. It's been a while since the last recording, considering I had some fuck-ups with the recording software.
Yeah, if you're wondering why some of these get a bit late, it's simple effect that machines like to fuck with us.
Yeah, my Skype has been fucking with me.
So, there you go.
I use a very basic Skype recorder, and it's fucking with me. But anyway, episode KRYSIS, I can't remember how it starts. It's been that
long. This is the thing I do, because having watched it then and now, so the way it starts is, well, here's the thing, there's actually a little bit that cut out at the very beginning, but it starts with a bunk scene with Lister and Rimmer. And then Crichton comes along saying that he's preferred breakfast, even though they moved the clocks about 3 years ago. So technically speaking, it's 3 years. I think I'm trying to remember.
It's 3 in the morning because you wanted to push the clocks forward back an hour every so often.
Yeah, so at this point, he's pretty much we've been doing this for the last 3 years now.
But it turns out Crichton is very much not himself.
Yeah, basically he forgets the food and then realizes that, well, I've been going on for such a long time, I don't know if I've maybe lost my prime.
Yeah, so the basic premise is that Crichton is going into a midlife crisis.
Yeah, which you wouldn't think a mechanoid could do that, but this being Red Dwarf, it would.
Well, it's been said many times that Crichton has broke his programming and created emotion drives or chips.
Yeah, exactly. So if he can do that, might as well have a typical midlife crisis, which I will say this one thing.
Well, considering he has the Nega drive with all his negative emotions on it.
Yeah, the Nega drive, that was a few good series ago. But yeah, I mean, one thing I will say that I would probably say this myself, but I was kind of disappointed the big joke of the episode was Crichton's outfit, which I wish they kept that more of a secret, because I promise you, I mean, when you see it on TV, you think, oh yeah, typical, we would dress up in a red outfit, very funny. But trust me, when we saw this the first time, when I saw this with my sister Jade, that first time when he came out, did that little spin, Craig literally got onto his knees laughing. He just went like, oh my god.
It's a shame, because it's like, when it comes on, everyone's bursting out laughing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's pretty much the big sports car version of a mechanoid suit.
Yeah, exactly.
But they showed in the intro of every episode.
It's in the intro, it's in some of the adverts, there's even a fucking keyring of this as well. So I wish they would have kept that more of a secret until the episode at least had been on.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of which, one thing I forgot to mention back in Officer Rimmer, actually, was Captain Bollocks. Because there's a well, here's the funny thing. There was a story a while back that apparently a person went past the primary, their preschool thing, and apparently was banned because he had the shirt of, I say let's get out there and twat it. So... so there you go. So it's not going to help now people are going to be walking around with Captain Bollocks on them.
Nothing wrong with Captain Bollocks.
No, but I'm just saying that's a hey-ho.
But the whole sports car thing is he's describing everything as it were a sports car, and the rest of the crew is going, this is what happens when you're in a midlife crisis. First you deny it, then you buy a sports car to make yourself feel young.
Yeah, and then you have an interesting extreme sport.
Yeah, and when he runs off, it's all the car sounds.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I saw it the first time, I was thinking, this would be funny if they put some Ferrari noises over this, and I thought, oh, they did, good.
They did.
Yeah, so I will say, this is the funny thing of seeing it now as a finished product, as then seeing it still, still when they're trying to get it right. One thing that's also worth mentioning is that this episode, being a Crichton-centric episode, Robert had to do a lot in this episode, I promise you that. I mean, the whole opening bit within the breakfast server, we had to go through that whole segment, and I do mean that whole bit of him saying, we moved the clock, sir, I did this, I've done this for you, sir, reveals is not on the plate, and does the whole bit. We had to see that at least 5 times, at least. They had to redo it 5 times because of a fluff, or he stuck on one word, and then maybe got it right on one take, and then had to do it again for continuity's sake. Ooh, he had to do a lot this episode. I promise you that.
Well, not as much as what was the episode called? It was in series 7 where he played Crichton and Abel.
Oh yeah, well that was basically his idea was back then was like, I know, if I write an episode, I'll write myself out for the whole episode, and then they come back at the very end, and then Doug decided, nah, that's not good enough. Why don't we have 2 Crichtons? It's like, oh no. And then it's like, well, it's cheaper if we just put you in a green outfit. Oh god. There you go. But like I said, Robert had to do a lot this episode, and trust me, the amount of times he did stumble quite a lot this episode, but he got through it. That's the important thing. I'm not suggesting he's gotten worse at his job. It's just the case of when you see it as a finished thing, you don't know how many takes it took to get there.
Yeah, I can't wait for the DVD to come out, or Blu-ray, just to see all the fluffs on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. This Megats will be interesting.
Yeah. It turns out they then tried searching for another Series 3000 mechanoid to say, oh yeah, he's loading you, so he won't have much to do, and therefore you can say to yourself, oh hey, my mechanoid life wasn't as bad as this Series 3000 mechanoid life, who I'm actually superior over.
Yeah, it's basically saying, well, let's find somebody else like you who's probably not as good as you, and then the joke being they meet Butler, who I've forgotten the guest actor's name, but it's funny because when I saw it then and now, his voice reminded me so much of the guy who plays Data in Star Trek. I mean, part of me felt like, is that him in there? Because I wouldn't put it past them, him being in Red Dwarf, but it wasn't, somebody else.
Yeah. It turns out Butler actually has a much better life.
Well, basically, he's done everything he's done. He's basically took Crichton's life, which was crashed on a Nova ship, and basically turned it into an art gallery, written a novel, and done so much advances in medical science and stuff, all on his own.
Yeah, why? He got bored.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I get bored, I just find something to eat.
Yeah.
Well, it's just everything's like, okay, what do you do? Okay, what about this then? It's like, oh, I've done that quite a while ago. It's like, oh, you son of a...
It's basically, here's somebody who should be worse than you, but is better in every other way. So
I feel that way sometimes with certain artists who are younger than me.
Yeah, we all go through that. Although,
yeah, I'm just like, any of my watchers or people that watch me on DeviantArt who just like, I draw. So am I better than him? Does he think I don't hate you? It's just a bit envious. And secondly, I'm over that. You do what you do. You're fucking good at it. You have my blessing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hell, I love the Amazing World of Gumball.
It's just if you're 10 years younger than me and you're doing better artwork than I do, I am going to hate you a little bit.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm jealous of it. I love the Amazing World of Gumball, and yet somehow I'm somewhat envious of it because it's the sort of show I wish I could make, but I probably won't be able to now. Unless they're still hiring, maybe in a few years, maybe I'll get on it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, And it seems like it keeps everything keeps like the novel, the medical science, the artwork. Eventually comes across some Gels, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It's not the Kimikawari; it's a different tribe of them.
Yeah. This is another quick story to tell you, because when they did this scene, the whole cockpit scene, that what I probably would refer as the scene.
Yeah.
All right. What they did actually, they did a bit of setup. They actually, like I said before, that they filmed this in front of us, but I was in sort of the mid-section of the audience, so I got to see the science room, one corridor, and the bunk room, and the starbug room was on the far right-hand side of me, so we couldn't see it properly. And then they actually erected this three-walled set and put essentially the Gelf there. And funny enough, the Gelf they had on the night is not the same Gelf costume and makeup that's in the final program.
Oh dear.
Yeah, because I do remember watching it, and I do think, yeah, that doesn't look that good. So I'm pretty sure they did that. They probably did that for the audience sake. Here's at least something you can see instead of just a pre-recorded segment. So, but hey, I was kind of surprised when they actually re-shot it to a better degree.
Yeah. The Gelf is a different tribe, and the Crown tries talking to him, and he's like, no. It's like, it's you.
They milk. Oh, let me tell you one thing. When it came to the Mal thing, they milked that bloody scene for what they did.
The two thing went on a bit long, though. It's like everyone else was getting it right except Crichton.
Yeah, oh god.
Apparently Butler knows this tribe. Like, oh yeah, I gave him a cure for this like disease, and now he's in my debt.
Yeah.
And Crichton's still wearing the fucking Ferrari.
Well, actually, the weird thing about it is that Butler's wearing Series 10's Crichton's outfit, so that's kind of like you're thinking, it's like, on one hand, I think to myself,
I didn't notice that.
Didn't you notice that?
No, I didn't.
Didn't? Right, well, okay. I mean, I'm just saying, when I first saw it, first saw Butler, I thought like, okay, they haven't got enough, well, they would have enough to do another face, but they wouldn't have enough to do another suit, but part of me feels like, I wonder if Robert was a bit jealous, thinking, he could still fit in that.
I want to see someone walk around in the Series 3 one.
God knows if that still exists.
Yeah.
Oh, God, stuck up with sticky back plastic and Velcro. That's how they made it back then. And screws.
But eventually, just leave him off, and Butler has to go back, apparently.
Yeah, well, he decides that he's going to stick around with the girls and then go home himself.
Yeah, and I come across a space station. I was trying to contact.
There's a quick scene. There's actually a quick little bit where Lister and Crichton are talking to each other, and they say, I just don't know what to feel, sir. I just feel that everything he's done is so much better than me. And it's like Lister tells him that when he had a midlife crisis that lasted about 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's just like breathe. I took a deep breath, but screw it, whatever.
Yeah. And then we get to possibly one of the strangest left turns I think an episode has taken, at least in this series.
Yeah, they found a space station that was trying to contact the universe itself.
Yeah. And again, when we saw it, there was no visuals. I mean, like I said, when they had the pre-recorded stuff of being on the Nova 3 and being on the ship, being on the Universal ship communication thing, there were no real visuals. Like the paintings on the wall had nothing in them. There was actually no pictures in them. And that whole like giant crystal sphere they're in, that wasn't there. We just essentially had them standing in front of a console with nothing there, and the only visual we had for the universe was just the end credits galaxy bit sort of flashing up every now and again.
But they still talk about all the universes, all possibilities. Like, yeah, he's on hold.
Yeah, well, he's been on hold for a bit.
So they start talking to him, and it's like then the universe begins having a midlife crisis.
Well, basically, then Crichton just says, "Well, I have this issue, and I know you, the universe, having an issue of how long you got to last." It's like, wait a minute, you say I'm going to die?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
your brother doesn't do anything. He's like, you created everything.
Yeah. It's funny because I was listening to Ganymede, the Dwarf cast, actually, another popular one. Yes, sir, I've been around. I was listening to their reaction to this, and they did sort of talk about, well, what exactly does this thing is? Is this the universe as the entity itself? Is this God? In many ways. In fact, in many ways, if you think about it too much, this could fundamentally break Red Dwarf in terms of, isn't the point of the show that they're alone in the universe, and the whole point is they're stuck with each other and there's nothing else?
Yeah,
but,
they keep finding other aliens, and
Yeah,
basically a lot of people who want to kill them.
Yeah, I mean, they find other, like, beings, either machines or genetically engineered creatures. That's about the only thing they got. Although, like I said, the premise of the show was basically one man stuck alone in deep space. And, again, it's one of those things that if this was a Doctor Who episode, you were probably rattled to death about, this doesn't make sense. Wait, if that happened, then how come you couldn't do this before? And blah, blah, blah. But, it's a comedy show. You should just, enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I'm still the question Series 8. I'm also the question the ending of Series 8.
Yeah, well, they're never going to answer that, mate. They're never. Yeah. I mean, if any of you are still wondering, what happened at the end of Series 8, not going to tell you. They ain't going to. If you haven't bothered at this point, they're never going to bother now.
They would have found the nanites, and it's like, okay, well, this one's going to destroy, let's make a new one, but not as big.
Yeah, although there is the theory, I mean, here's a fun little theory for you people, is every subsequent series of Red Dwarf, it's in its own universe. So you can say Series 1 and 2, that's one universe. Series 3 to 5, that's in one universe. Or you could make the argument from 3 to 6, that's all in one.
I'll say 3 to 5, 6 through 8, another.
6, yeah, there's another. Back to Earth is one again, and as well as 10 and 11. And again, you could use that as the excuse to saying, why did the actors change costumes? Why did the ship change different sets and locales and stuff? Which, reality-wise, is like, they do it because they didn't like the last set, or maybe they thought we can spruce it up next time. Rather than...
I would equate it to Rimmer's costume changes to being little software updates.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the basic stuff, green, red, blue. I mean, that sort of...
At least the blue one's like, oh yeah, it is hard light, so it's blue.
Yeah. Hell, I mean, last series we saw him walk through a door again.
Yeah, it turned red.
Yeah, it turned red. The question is like, wait, he can go through the door, but wouldn't his light beam be stuck? And it's like, well, maybe he has a portable light beam, maybe Crichton has it or something, which, again, that's the whole... This is what I mean, is that if you think about these little aspects of Red Dwarf, then you could be here for hours talking about inconsistencies and, oh my god, what does this all mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's for Ganymede and Titan if you want for that. We're just here to say if it was funny or not.
Yeah. So after talking to the universe and stopping the universe from going through a midlife crisis from the possibility of dying.
Yeah, well, basically.
What's your advice? Any advice before we leave? Yeah, get out of the outfit.
Yeah, take that outfit off. Which also another thing I will say is that you probably, if you watched it, you'll know it's like, did they have to use them more? Really, they just use Morgan Freeman's voice, which, it's not Morgan Freeman, it's a guy who does an impression of him. I will say on the night... What else can
you do? Because Morgan Freeman's voice is like butter.
I know, well, the fact is, every time Morgan Freeman speaks, he grows another freckle on his cheek, so there you go. Psypop told me that.
I think Ted 2 put it best, where Ted just goes, I think I want to sleep on a bed made of your voice.
Yeah.
That was a good line.
Yeah. One good line for a movie that not many people like, but maybe another day.
The Liam Neeson thing was fucking hilarious, though.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that maybe for another day. But yeah, I will say that on the night, seeing it as a finished transmission, it's less Morgan Freeman sounding in the final show than it was on the night. I will say that.
So eventually it's like, oh yeah, I got to talk to the universe. Virtual Butler, here's about this. Oh, you've already talked to him.
Yeah, so the whole joke...
You call him Uni? You have him on speed dial?
Well, the joke is basically that Butler purposely ruined Starbuck for them to get there in the first place to solve Crichton's midlife crisis.
Oh yeah, it's like purposely upgraded something to actually break to find it.
Yeah, exactly. So essentially he's one-upping him again, although arguably you could say that was for his sake, for Crichton's sake, for a good cause really, than being jealous.
And eventually he becomes jealous again.
Yeah. I mean, did you get the feeling that Butler was more like a really smug character in your opinion, or did you just feel like there wasn't there much?
I think he was smug, but wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
It's like one of those people who are arseholes who just think, oh, this is how I normally act. It's like, no one acts that way.
Mm.
It's like those people who claim affluenza. It's like, there's no such thing as affluenza. You're just a dick. You're a complete fucking dick.
Yeah, there you go.
If I go smack you in the face because you're being a dick.
Yeah, there you go.
But he's like one of those people who is smug and he's just like, oh yeah, I wrote a novel, and it was a bestseller for about 10 weeks.
Yeah, it's the sort of person, like I said, he has that era that he knows he's done great things, and he probably enjoys telling people about it, but he's not aware if it's pissing people off. Or maybe he doesn't really mind if it's pissing people off.
Maybe he doesn't have any emotion chip. He doesn't have the smugness. He doesn't have the,
He doesn't have guilt, that's for certain. He doesn't have any
doesn't
guilt.
have any guilt.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have no air or subtlety about it. It's like, I wrote a novel, I actually cured cancer. He didn't say that. But he could have said, like, oh yeah, I got bored one weekend, I cured cancer, and a few days later, I went ahead and remade the Mona Lisa as it was back when Leonardo da Vinci painted it.
Yeah, when Da Vinci was starting it. Yeah.
I did it in about 3 hours, but still.
Yeah, I think there's a bit where he talks about, like, I've written a novel about, the uprising of the android uprising from the point of view of 3 privileged human. I think he says that at one point. So, I don't know whether that means he has a slightly biased view on human beings.
I think it just doesn't, like I said, I think this just doesn't have no idea what the hell he's saying, he just says it.
Yeah, like I said, maybe he does know, he just thinks that's meant to impress them, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've met people like that a few times, but...
I think a lot of people on the internet are like that.
Do you know who I am? That type of deal.
I'm just in my head right now. I've just got the egg thing by Eddie Bowley. It's okay. I've got one of the most powerful computers with a Blu-ray rewriter and 20-inch LCD monitor and all that crap. And then Ed just goes, "Well, I had sex last night," and he starts crying.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was that the Ed Egg versus? Or was that something else?
That was Ed Egg Greatest Hits.
Yeah, I was going to say there was one where I remember there was a flash animation of like taking out everybody on Newsground or something like that. I don't know.
That's something else.
Yeah, that was something else. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, looking back at it now, like I said, when I first saw it, I thought it was funny in places, but I had a feeling that I don't think this is going to be a classic by any means, but I do think it's I
think the testament to the fact that I can't remember most of the jokes, I just remember the plot.
Yeah, well,
and even then it's like, oh, this happened. It's like, oh yeah, that happened.
No.
I can look back on series 1. I can remember every single freaking moment of
really?
of the end. The very first episode, I can remember every single moment that made me laugh. This one, it barely made me laugh.
Yeah, and people say Red Dwarf, watching series 1 and 2, Red Dwarf like watching black and white, because there's really not a lot happens in that series.
A lot happens in that series.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's mainly just character stuff. There isn't any of the...
And that's the best part about it. Even this one's like, it's pseudo-series 5. As they seem to go off the ship quite a bit. There's very little that happens on the ship.
Yeah.
When it does happen, it's great. But
yeah.
When it's off, it's like, eh.
Hmm.
And it's a lot more action in the series. But in this episode, the biggest joke was Crichton's outfit and the whole car thing. That's the most I've laughed.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, I remember watching it again, and it did feel like I did a write up of this for Ganymede and Titan, for actually being there and saying, what did they think of the episode, and which series do I think this would feel the most Homer? And I said, like, this feels like a series 10 episode. Like, you could have easily replaced Dear Dave with this. I mean, I don't know whether that would make people happy or not, but obviously changes. But I do think is that you could have done this in Series 10 and it wouldn't have been too problematic, but from a budget-wise. But then again, that was the one it felt the most like. And considering that was the first episode I saw of Series 11, it was kind of like hard to know where exactly the rest of the series was going to go.
Yeah. No, overall, I give this episode 2 stars. Had a couple of good jokes. Even the character Butler, despite being unintentionally smug, was interesting.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, it's one thing to write a smug character. If you write it in the wrong way, you just went like, God, I'm going to punch him in the face. That type of deal.
Yeah, they're deliberately making people smug about it and self-centered. Believe me, I've watched a show called Brickleberry, and one of the characters is so selfish and such an idiot, you want to punch him. But that's played it for comedy.
I know.
This one, like I said, Butler is smug, but he doesn't know he's being smug. He's just saying what he did. And I think that works better.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a mechanoid, so he can get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's about it, really. Or even the universe having a midlife crisis just when he's getting contacted on the phone.
Yeah.
That was funny as well, but everything else, it's just like, I can barely remember anything else outside that.
It does, I mean, I will admit, talking to the universe, it does feel like a very hitchhikery type of idea, like someone would build a space station just to talk to the universe, and particularly saying, okay, how do you feel about this type deal? But actually in Hitchhiker, there's a whole thing about several people being taken to the, it's got a very long name, but basically took into a room which basically tells you how inadequate you are to the rest of the universe, and apparently when he goes in it, he is bigger than the universe itself.
Huh.
So essentially, Zephon Beaverbrox's ego is twice as big as the universe itself, so there you go.
Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly, because,
It's a shame that the film didn't do very well. We might have seen a sequel.
Put it this way, it took 20 years in development hell just to get a Hitchhiker movie done. Do you think they want to do it again so soon?
Yes.
There you go, Disney. That's all the proof you need.
Yeah, so out of 5, what would you give it?
I give it a 3. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it when I saw it there, but I had a feeling, I enjoyed it when I saw it, but I wasn't too sure how it would end up as an end episode. I do feel it's a tighter episode, I think, seeing it finished and done. It's definitely not the best, but it's not terrible. And I think if you compare this to some of the other crime-centric episodes, I mean, there's been some good ones, but if you compare it to, a lot of people either don't like Beyond the Joke or Crate TV.
That's the episode name.
Right.
That was bugging me for 10 minutes.
Right, okay, Crate TV, yeah, the one where
Beyond the Joke was the one I can remember.
Okay, then.
Other ones, like DNA and Camille were good episodes.
Yeah.
Well, DNA mostly.
Yeah. But you get the idea. I mean, before they've done crime-centric episodes, and they can either be really good or kind of, And you can make the
highlight of Crichton's secondary episodes happens to be the tank in Beyond the Joke.
Yeah.
You can't get better than that. It's just like, oh, let's bring a tank into the Jane Austen world and blow everyone up except the cast.
Yeah, exactly. Which, oh god, I mean, two things. One, I think Rob wrote that, and he felt like, we're not going to use a real tank. It's like, we won't have the money. It's like, no, Bobby, we're going to get a tank. Are you serious, Doug? Yeah, we're getting a tank. And then they did it, and they did it on a private army field, so that they're allowed to blow up whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Except when they blew the gazebo, it was so big and so loud, parts of it ended up flinging into people's homes, 3 miles away from the actual place.
Oh dear.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
overall, passable episode.
I enjoyed it. I mean, again, I love the experience of seeing Red Dwarf live. If I had the choice, I mean, this is the funny thing. If I had the choice of which episode I would love to have seen, then, I mean, I was kind of hoping I was going to see the episode where they all turn to Crichton, but apparently that's going to be in Series 12, so we have to wait for a bit.
Ooh.
Yeah, so... Well, I don't know if it was you, me, or Mike, because Danny did say, I met Danny once, and he literally took one of Robert's masks, spray painted it black, and jumped into Doug's office and said, "Hello, I'm Crichton." And he went, "Oh, God." And then he went from that to, hang on a minute, what if Lister and Rimmer were Crichton? So there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our thoughts on the episode 5, KRYSIS. Mm-hmm. Click the annotations to watch our other podcasts as well as the playlist of the series. Subscribe to me, subscribe to Nikki. I will see you for our final episode of Series 11, Can of Worms.
Oh, expect so many worm puns from me.
Oh dear.